inside. How much will his teammate Kirkwood challenge it from the outside? They're side by side for third.
3 or 4 wide behind. Oh, we're going to get someone in the wall. I see Christian Rasmussen, Santino Ferrucci. Also big damage to the AJ Foy machine as the rest of the field files through unscathed.
Let's go again from T.O. and a big jump for Herta.
Monster jump for Colton Herta. Brilliant job through the final corner. He has to get a good exit right here. Keep it smooth. No big slides as the field single file until Padua Ward makes a move on Marcus Ericsson. That was textbook. Well done.
You see a few guys looking, a few guys defending. That's one of the JHR cars right up the back with Marcus Armstrong side by side with power. Sorry. Dixon now in the wall.
Is that Canapino or Grosjean? It's Canapino in the 78.
Green again. And once again, a good start for Herta. Maybe a little bit of challenge back there in fourth for Rosenquist. It is single file. We get through one.
This is Grosjean under pressure. Will Power to the outside.
You can do it there. You can roll. Oh, opened his hands up big time.
Opened his hands and flared his elbows.
As Rahal comes in, he's going to get, a steering wheel change while he's at it. He's going to change tires. He's going to change 5 wheels.
Let's see how much time it costs him. Wow.
That
2
was
seconds?
Impressive.
About 2 seconds extra on a steering wheel change.
Brand new, slightly scuffed. Oh, problem on the left rear. The left rear is loose. He's trying to launch. They're trying to get him to stop. They missed getting that left rear tight. They haven't got the car back up in the air yet. Big problems for the 2 car. They dropped the car before getting that left rear nut on, and he's away.
So this is a net third on track. Oh, we have a car in the wall. Linus Lundqvist, he's backed all the way out of it. If he can fire it up, that's one of the features of this hybrid. Theo Porcher involved in this as well. Oh, big dive from Rosenquist. I think he got into the back of the 28. Maybe some contact there.
Did Ericsson throw a little bit of a shoulder fade there, right in the brake zone?
Gonna have to take another look at it.
That looked to be a little dicey. Juiced up as the yellow's going to come out here for Kevin Simpson.
You were just saying that a yellow could make this game on.
Green.
Going back to green in Toronto. Colton Herta with a massive jump. Kirkwood has a little bit of a cushion too. It's McLaughlin that is going to think about Dixon for third.
McLaughlin doing a great job there on those used greens. Well used as Padua Ward sideways and Marcus Ericsson. Oh boy! Oh my goodness! Santino Ferrucci.
Ferrucci is upside down. And you hear the words. Ferrucci says he's okay.
Every driver's okay. And there it is. The red flag waves. The cars will come down.
Sorry about that.
Come down pit lane.
Here we go again. And it's another big jump for Colton Herta. Kirkwood seems safe. What kind of run can Dixon have? First into 1, then into 3. McLaughlin taking a little look. Not close enough. David Malukas and now
McLaughlin's in the wall.
And contact with Rinus VK, it looked like, in another car. And this could be another full course caution.
If he can't fire that thing up, it is probably pretty damaged. We see it there. Full course caution on the board.
Time to go again for Toronto. Herta, Kirkwood, Dixon, Power. A little further back. Palou. Drive-through coming for the number 12 of Will Power, who ducks in. So Alex Palou is up to 4th now. White flag for Colton Herta. Under 2 miles to go to get back to victory lane for the first time in more than 2 years. Today in Toronto and this weekend, they put it all together. Colton Herta dominates the weekend, leads every session for the first time in IndyCar history, and Herta has won for the first time in over 2 years.
Been waiting a long time to do those victory donuts.
No-hander, too.
It's a 1-2 for Andretti Global, and the 24-year-old Californian Colton Herta is back in victory circle.
Up next, it's the Bommarito Automotive Group 500, Saturday, August 17th. Watch it at 6 p.m. on USA Network.
With that, welcome back to the Push to Pass podcast. I am Derek Vance, and as you see the cast that is joining us here, as usual, I will introduce them here shortly, but an interesting race for some, to say the least, on Sunday. I have a very strong opinion about that, and that'll be one of the takeaways that we talk about here this evening on episode number 62, if you can believe that or not, as we are just slowly chugging along. I will pass along that Mike is on vacation at some, remote, high class area that, Josh tried to go with him, but unfortunately, this is a family trip for Mike, so he will not be joining us this evening. But I'm sure Josh has a lucrative vacation here planned in the not so distant future. But before we get into all of that, again, let me introduce the cast of characters that join me here on a week-to-week basis. First, as you see over there, with it looked like a fresh haircut. Look at that. Trying to look good for the camera there. A fresh haircut and beard shave there, to say the least. Josh Roberts. And Josh, like I said, I know you're going to talk about the race here shortly a little bit, but good to see that you got to your barber there and got a little haircut and a beard trim.
Yeah, the beard trim I did myself. I think it looks terrible, but you know what? It saves me a couple bucks to go on that lucrative vacation, as you say. I was looking kind of homeless last week, so I had to go out and get the haircut. So other than that, everything's going great.
Now, I'm not sure if somebody commented that Josh was looking homeless, so I can't confirm nor deny that, but be that as it may, me or Michael would never say Josh looks like a homeless hobo. We would never say that. But moving forward, as you see down there in the middle of the screen there, Mike, as usual, joining us there. Great backdrop there. Great lighting there. Michael, how are things over there in your neck of the woods?
Well, I must be the hobo this week because I haven't shaved or got a haircut in a few days. So things are going pretty good. Trying to learn a new phone that I got, so having to reinstall all the apps and going crazy about, logging back in and everything. But other than that, things are going pretty good. Just hanging out and, kind of sad that the Olympics are here because we don't have much racing going on.
No, we don't. We are going to be on, maybe you two, a well-deserved hiatus until August. I think August 15th, I do believe, is when the NTT IndyCar Series is going to be back on track. So a little bit of a break here, a well-deserved from all two of you. So I know that will be well enjoyed by all. But yes, so we did have a race this past weekend, in Toronto, and I know all both of you are going to be strongly opinionated about that as the show unfolds. We'll talk about it, analyze, break down here. Like I said, I got 5 takeaways that I was able to scrape together from a monstrosity of a race, at least in my opinion, and then also too we're able to grab a quick interview with the winner. As well, that we'll play later in the show. And then we'll take a look at the race results as we normally do, point standings as they are, and race picks. And I wish I could really skip that portion of the show. I really could. But as the old the Swami there, Chris Berman, predicted, I told you that Mike would pass me in a few weeks, and sure as the sun rises and sun sets, I should probably maybe play Vegas this week because I got that one right. But we'll get into that, unfortunately, here in a little while. But first and foremost, like I said, get to the 5 takeaways, my 5 takeaways that I concluded from watching again this monstrosity of a race in Toronto. First and foremost, like you said on the video there, huge congratulations obviously goes out to Colton Herta and the whole number 26 Gainbridge crew for finally getting off the schneid there for Andretti Global and winning Sunday's Ontario Honda Dealers Indy Toronto race there in the streets of Toronto. Obviously for Herta there, as they said, he did collect his first win of the season, his 8th of his career, edging out teammate Kyle Kirkwood, who, I guess, spoiler alert, Michael picked as his race winner that got him into sole possession of second place in the number 27 AutoNation Honda by just 0.3469 seconds. And like we mentioned there, with the Summer Olympics starting this coming Friday, the NTT IndyCar Series won't be back until August 16th. Friday, August 16th, when they're on track at the Worldwide Technology Raceway for the Bommarito Automotive Group 500. So first takeaway from me here, and again, these are just my conclusions that I've drawn from watching the race. Josh and Michael will put in their opinions on these as well, and they may change or they may agree. Usually 9 times out of 10 they disagree, but we'll find one to agree upon every now and then. But first and foremost, again, I've talked about it time and time again. It is that the more nose to tail racing is exactly what we had on Sunday. Again, I'm just not a huge fan of street and road course racing just for that reason, because if you're not in the front, unless something really quirky happens, you really have no chance to win a street or road course race. And again, Sunday, I wasn't impressed either. Yeah, it was nice to see Colton Herta again be able to get that Schneider, that monkey off his back and pick up the win. But overall, to me, it just left a lot to be desired. You know, there were 140 passes on track. Now, 3 of them were only up front. And then it was Crashville, looked like Nashville race, with only 15 cars left running at the end of the race. And I'll continue to say this, and this may be the only part that Josh and Michael agree with me on, is IndyCar just needs to find more ovals and limit their street and road course races and exposure. So that's my opinion. Curious to hear both of your thoughts. I don't care who starts.
Well, I'm a big proponent also of oval racing. I think it's more exciting. Even though, a couple weeks ago when we were in Iowa, there was a lot of nose to tail, not a lot of passing per se, but I think some of the drivers are a bit too reluctant to try to pass on streets or roads. They don't want to take that chance that that they get out of line, they go to try to pass, and they get passed up by somebody else that did not fall out of line. Also, I think they're afraid of some of the hairpin turns and not being able to brake and putting their car into the walls. So it's a lot of I don't want to say a lot of scared driving, but a lot of cautious driving. You know, they're very cognizant of the fact that that one false move with these open wheeled cars, they're into the wall and something's going to break, unlike their counterparts over in NASCAR that they could bang and bump all they want and they're still going to have the chance to be there at the end for the win. So it doesn't make for good viewership, in my opinion. But I can understand why they do it. I can understand why they're so cautious. They don't want to. They want to just kind of hang around. You know, maybe something will happen. Maybe my pit crew will go faster in the pits and be able to get out. But overall, outside of the crashes, it really wasn't. It wasn't the best race to watch, in my opinion. But they're gonna do what they're gonna do. They're not gonna change. IndyCar's not gonna change. They're not going to do anything that is going to make the viewership any better, in my opinion. Especially NBC's not going to push for anything because NBC's losing them. Maybe Fox will come up. Maybe they'll come to the table with some different ideas than IndyCar can do to make their product a little bit more watchable. But overall, I agree with you, Derek, that nose to tail racing is very boring, and but it's an inevitability. It's what's going to happen.
So I'm trying to figure out if you two watched the same race I did. I actually enjoyed the race. There was a lot of good passes going on in the middle of the field. Talk about hard to pass. There's 4 drivers that come to mind I wrote down. They finished 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 7th after starting 18th, 16th, 15th, and 13th. That was Alex Palou, Christian Lundgaard, Scott Dixon, and Marcus Armstrong. All made really good passes. Dixon had great fuel mileage and fuel strategy, which helped him out. And that's honestly the reason I do like the street and road courses, is because it does give you the option to make those passes and have good strategy. So nose to tail, maybe towards the front, and I have some thoughts on that for sure. And maybe we'll get into them here in a little bit, but for sure, I take some issues with the front, but throughout the middle of the pack, I thought there was some great racing going on. I just think that NBC doesn't cover the mid pack as well as they probably should.
And that very well could be, the reason why I just thought there was a lot left to be desired, because if you noticed, all NBC's coverage was, and again, I think they've, checked out like Josh talked about, but yeah, all NBC would show is the front. Yeah, I did highlight that there were 140 passes and only 3 of them were up front, but maybe it is the coverage. Maybe, Michael, maybe you're right. Maybe it is the coverage, but I just thought there was a lot left to be desired. So, that's just me. Moving on, unless Michael, you want to add something else there. Do you want to add something else to 5, or do you want to move on to number 4?
No, we can move on to number 4. I want to talk on something here in a little bit, but yeah, we can move on to 4.
All right. Number 4 is, I think this actually could be number 1, really, if it wasn't for the dominance of Andretti on Sunday. This could be number 1. But, again, week in and week out, when there are big crashes and cars flip upside down, like, Josh witnessed there on Sunday, as you see down there at the bottom of the screen, he actually has a error in his sentence, but the aero screen, how much more, praise can you give this aero screen? Last or 2 weeks ago, rather, it was Stingray Robb. And then this past Sunday, you've seen, Santino Ferrucci and the ride or flight, for that matter, that he had. In my opinion, I think today the aero screen might be the biggest piece of safety equipment that IndyCar has ever put in their cars. And obviously it's put to the test week in and week out. Obviously it's a preventive measure for drivers for becoming seriously injured. And if you notice, it's doing exactly what it's designed for, because you've had, Stingray Robb, who, outside of maybe a concussion, was able to walk away. And then Santino Ferrucci being able to walk away from his scary flight this weekend as well. So again, high praise, I think, has to go to the invention of the aero screen. And if it was Dallara who designed that, or whoever the designer was for that, I think has to be huge props to them as well.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, time after time, like last week we talked about the aero screen and how it is probably the most innovative thing that's ever happened to not player safety, driver safety within the last 20 to 40 years. So it's saving lives, and kudos to the creator of it. Kudos to the person that designed it and brought it into IndyCar and are saving lives. That crash that Ferrucci had, I mean, in a car probably 20 years earlier, that would have probably almost been a life-threatening life-threatening crash, but the fact that he was able to walk away and almost instantaneously, I mean, after he hit the ground and he was laying on the ground upside down, he was able to communicate to his crew that he was okay, and there wasn't any hesitation in his voice. He wanted to make sure that he knew, his crew knew, and everybody that was listening knew that he was okay. So I mean, there's not much more you could say about the aero screen other than the fact that it's a lifesaver for sure.
Yeah, I mean, as we've all talked about the aero screen last week, and this week as well. I actually posted on X. When did AJ Foyt Racing become Air Jordan Racing? Because both their cars have taken flight and jumped into the air, I should say. As Josh was talking, I was searching real quick, and IndyCar selected Red Bull Advanced Technologies to design the aero screen. I think that's just another great invention that Red Bull has come up with, and kudos to IndyCar for having helping build racing safely, and for Red Bull coming in and helping develop that is pretty incredible. Just seeing, what both AJ Foyt racing cars have withstanded the past two races is pretty incredible. And, we still can continue to praise the aero screen, and hopefully we can kind of get it weighed a little bit less with the next chassis when that becomes available. Hopefully sooner rather than later. And when this was originally designed, I think it was more looking towards the parts and pieces penetrating the cockpit, but little did we know that it's done so much more than that.
Yeah, I think teams are obviously getting their money's worth out of this piece of equipment, and definitely kudos, like you said, to Red Bull for coming up with this design, because you think this year right off the bat Stingray Robb and Santino Ferrucci, their crashes that they've had, and let's not look back. We just 1 year ago at the Indianapolis 500, I believe it was Kyle Kirkwood that ended up upside down, and then I think Colton Herta the year before that. So definitely the aero screen paying dividends to say the least. Next takeaway that I had, and I thought with this race here again, Honda being one of the title sponsors, I thought the Honda drivers showed up and showed out on Sunday. And, coming into this weekend, Honda in the Manufacturers Championship, I don't know how many people pay attention to that. They were down 59 points in that championship points race to Chevrolet. But with Honda dominating and claiming 7 of those top 10 spots on Sunday, Honda closed the gap from 59 points to 13 with just 5 races left. So, with the Honda being the title sponsor of this race, I thought the Honda drivers definitely showed up and showed out. And, Honda so far, I think they've done a tremendous job with this new hybrid engine. I know, me and Michael both think a little bit that they have a little bit of an advantage, even though we're told otherwise, just because this isn't the first time they've built something like this. But again, kudos to Honda for what they did on Sunday, dominating a race again that's titled sponsored, and they've pulled within 13 points there of the Manufacturers Championship with just 5 races to go.
Mike, you can go first on this one if you want.
Okay, so the big problem I have is, yes, Honda has done a great job this past weekend. I think the only 2 Chevys that were running halfway decent were McLaughlin and Award. So yeah, Honda definitely had a little bit of an advantage. Like I said, the only problem I have is when they have a race sponsorship and it's like 5 miles long. This one's the Ontario Honda dealers, Indy, whatever the number was, if there was a number. And then when we were at Mid-Ohio, it was the Honda Indy 200 presented by the Hybrid Civic or whatever. So much wording into a sponsorship can kind of mislead fans a little bit, and they get real confused. Maybe that's just my inner nerd coming out. But and then the other thing is, I don't know that a lot of people know about the manufacturer championship, because that's another thing that NBC and the telecast never talk about. So if we could nudge Fox in that direction, that would be kind of cool. It's another thing to talk about when the race kind of, fizzles out or, kind of strings out a little bit. You can talk about, well, Honda was at a big disadvantage coming into this weekend, but with 5 of the top 6 cars or whatever point in the race they're talking about, and you have that many Hondas up front, it's just another aspect to talk about, like we're talking about now. So I think that's definitely something that should be brought up more.
Yeah, I can understand your frustration with the long title of the races, but the simple fact is that we can't just go by you can't go races just can't be the Ontario whatever 500, the Iowa Speedway 600. These races are driven by sponsorship, and they want to get every single sponsorship they can in the main sponsors, and it comes down to money. It comes down to the money that they are putting out, and those places want to be able to be shown on the title screen of, hey, that's my company up there. That's I put up the big bucks, make yourself look big by putting your name on a sponsorship. I'd be more apt for the Ontario, however long the race is, sponsored by Honda dealers. It makes it a little bit easier to say than all that wordage, but. And I also agree that if you didn't know about the manufacturers championships, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know, because NBC doesn't talk about it. But the fact that Honda, I would imagine with them this being them being the title sponsor, they probably put a lot of emphasis to the teams that run Honda. Hey, we really need to have a good weekend, so you got to put a little bit more effort, put a little bit more study into figuring out how we can have a fantastic showing. Because if Chevy would have showed up and showed out, Honda itself would have been really upset. I have no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that, Josh. I think you're absolutely right. Indeed. So Honda backed up, the Honda drivers rather, and teams backed up. Hopefully, what Honda was looking for this weekend. And again, I have no truth to this rumor at all. But where is the sport going to be? Michael hit on it. How many races Honda sponsors this year? Where are they going to be if Honda decides to pull out? They're going to be looking for somebody to fill that gap. So again, I can't confirm nor deny that, but it's an interesting topic to talk about there, to say the least. Second to last takeaway that I had, consistency, and that is the name going forward for Alex Palou. The 2-time reigning and defending NTT IndyCar Series champion, Palou, just has 5 rounds left before he can stake his claim to being a back-to-back champion of the series. And consistently finishing towards the top, obviously, is going to help his cause. Now, after Iowa, the first race, he obviously had a lot on his shoulders going into last Sunday because from his disastrous finish that he had on Saturday night in Iowa. But after the Iowa doubleheader, Palou did have a 35 point lead over second place Will Power. And with the consistent finish that Palou had on Sunday in P4, and Power now finishing 12th on Sunday, his lead has ballooned now to 49 points with 5 races to go. So I think it's fair to say if Alex Palou doesn't win the race and he just plays the consistency game, fellas, it's all over but the shouting, as Denny Vance would say, to the rest of the field. And, you can give Alex Palou that Astro Cup.
Yes, Alex Palou is probably the most consistent driver I have ever seen outside of Jimmy Johnson in NASCAR. He just wins. And especially seeing, I saw Jeremiah Morrell posted something, and I guess Palou was penalized during qualifications. I didn't get to see qualifications, and the explanation about it was a little weird to me. Maybe Michael will know a little bit more. I guess Palou was penalized for blocking of awards of some way, but it shouldn't have been. I guess there was a caution or something happened. But for him to be able to be penalized, have to start back in the pack and still be able to get up there and have a decent finish and extend his lead. I know it was extended due to a crash, but and he was able to get higher up in there. But I said it last year, I'll say it this year. I mean, he is probably one of the most dominant drivers that I've ever seen in IndyCar. So if he just stays the way he is and he doesn't screw up and have a DNF or a couple DNFs, we'll probably be looking at a 2-time defending champion going into the 25 season.
Yeah, so the penalty in qualifying was he did impede Pato. He was actually going around his teammate, it looked like, and he was kind of in the racing groove, and it kind of 3 cars kind of merged into 2, and Pato really got the short end of the stick. So he kind of there. I don't think there was a caution out at the time. I believe that was just a couple of seconds after the whole impeding thing. So yeah, with that, that's why the penalty was issued. I know Pato was upset about it, but at the same time, I think Pato thought if he could kick Palou out of the top 9 or the top 12, that he would have been bumped in, but he wasn't bumped in either. So it was a very interesting qualifying session. Just a tight track. You're going to kind of have that at times. But yeah, Alex Palou is absolutely on fire right now. And we've all talked about his consistency. It would have been a little bit closer had Power not decided to take out his teammate and get the drive-through penalty towards the end of the race. But yeah, I don't see Palou's pretty decent on ovals. Not great, but I still, I mean, he's going to have to lose an average on 10 points a race just to kind of lose the lead of the championship. So it's going to be hard to take 10 points away over the next 5 races from Palou.
Yeah, he's just a master of consistency. And I mean, look who he's had to learn from. Scott Dixon and how consistent finishes that Dixon has. So definitely going to be, it's Alex Palou's to lose, I think, at this point. And point number 1, I kind of alluded to it there a little bit ago, but you got to give it to Andretti and the dominance that they had this past weekend. I mean, it was their weekend. Obviously in qualifying and then finishing 1 and 2 as well. Like I said, there were no stronger cars, I think, on Sunday than the number 26 of Colton Herta and the number 27 of Kyle Kirkwood. Like I mentioned, qualifying 1 and 2 respectively, and then finishing in that same order. I thought both of those cars were head and shoulders above the rest of the field. And like I mentioned earlier, Herta was able to snap his 40-race winless streak, while Kirkwood, on the other hand, finishing second, is seeking his first win since Nashville in August of 2023. So just Andretti dominance this weekend in Toronto.
Yeah, total. I mean, I believe last week I was talking about Colton Herta was on the rise, and he was poised to take a win, and I didn't think it would be this week, but to be able to both claim the pole, then also be able to finish P1 is phenomenal. And it's I wish Andretti Global was able to be more consistent. Last year they showed some flashes in the middle of the season and then kind of fell off. If Andretti could just bottle everything that they had this past weekend up and take it on to the rest of the season and bring it into next season, we could see Kirkwood and Herta being a dynamic duo, being able to get in there and compete. But I'm glad for Colton Herta. I'm glad he got off the schneid. Now if he can just keep it consistent throughout the rest of the season and maybe possibly get up there and try to give Palou a run for his money for the championship, even though I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, Herta this weekend, by far the best driver, was pretty quick in all the practice sessions, obviously won the pole, and then just dominated the race. The one issue I kind of take with this is kind of, they talked about it on the broadcast a couple of times, is where Kirkwood was never really close on the restarts. He kind of lagged back a little bit to kind of give Herta that jump. He never, throughout the entire race, he never attempted to make a pass on Herta at all. And I the big question I have, and it would be hard to find out this question. The answer to this question is it a problem with Brian Herta being on Kirkwood's box and his son leading the race? That is something that I don't truly understand. I think like that right there is just, in my opinion, causes the biggest conflict of interest there ever could be. So I'm not sure if that would ever get answered, but it's definitely got to sit in some Kirkwood fans' minds for sure. After looking at just how far of a lead Herta got every restart. It wasn't like, once or twice. It was every single restart. Go back and look at the gaps. There's 3-4 car lengths every single restart. So that's my big issue and a question that I would like to get answered, but probably never will.
That is very interesting. I never thought about that. That Herta is what is it? He's Kirkwood's strategist. Yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah, I would love to hear the answer to that. But Michael, I'm in your camp. Obviously, whoever you would ask that to would obviously find a way to spin it or dodge it. Like a politician does. So yeah, but that would be I would love to hear the answer to that if we were ever to get that. But those were my 5 takeaways. Anything else either one of you two want to add to those before we show the race results from Sunday?
Well, I'd like to expound on Michael's theory there. So are you of the opinion that the elder Kirkwood may have been giving false information or delayed information to the elder Herta was giving Kirkwood some misleading information to give his son jumps each time? Or what is your theory of what happened? I know we'll never know, but let's hear what your theory is that what was happening.
So I just believe there was some sort of team orders in play from earlier, like a pre-race strategy. I don't necessarily know if Herta was, behind the whole situation, but it just brings up a big conflict in my opinion. So as far as the information being relayed, no. I think the only way that Kirkwood was ever going to win that race is if Herta had a problem on pit road. Other than that, I think that was more of a team, let's get a 1-2 here and kind of, boost the morale around the race team and things like that, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I'm just saying, why do we have to bring team orders to IndyCar? If you want team orders, go watch Formula One. We've seen that on Sunday as well. So, yeah, that's just my take from that.
Oh yeah, I'm totally in agreement. I don't want to see that coming into IndyCar. I saw it happen in F1 a couple times. Someone telling someone to pull over for Schumacher so that Schumacher could win. That was probably one of the worst things I ever saw, and it's not good for the sport, because then then it brings in an aspect of something that, like we talk about on sports betting. If you've got predetermined, hey, we're gonna go 1-2, and Joe Blow over here up in the head office somehow, some way has a big bet on Herta to win. I mean, that brings in eyes and scrutiny to the sport that I don't want to see happen.
Yeah, you clearly didn't see the Formula One race from this past weekend where Lando Norris took a 6.5-second lead, and his team basically told him, hey, we messed up on pit strategy for Oscar, so let Piastri by. And with 2 laps to go, Lando just basically stopped on the racetrack to let his teammate go by. Like, I don't want to see that stuff in IndyCar at all. I mean, this past weekend was about as borderline as I ever want to see from 2 teammates. I mean, I look at the Will Power and Scott McLaughlin situation. That was Power going for it. There was definitely no team orders there. Power just went in there, locked him up, and slid into his teammate. But that's racing. I mean, that's good, hard racing. That's not, hey, Roger says, keep your spots here. We just want to get a good finish. That's hard racing.
I agree.
Nothing like stirring the pot here on the Push to Pass podcast, for sure. But yeah, I agree with Michael, and I agree with Josh. I'd love to get an answer from Brian Herta on that. But obviously, you probably get a better chance of winning the lottery or me going on a lavish vacation. But I digress. All right, let's take a look at the race results from Sunday. If you have not seen these yet, obviously here they are. Obviously, Colton Herta, Kyle Kirkwood, Scott Dixon were your podium finishers. Alex Palou and Marcus Armstrong. Yes, Marcus Armstrong round out the top 5. Then David Malukas, Christian Lundgaard, Rinus VK, Roman Grosjean. Yes, Roman Grosjean and Graham Rahal, of all people, were the top 10. Then it was Joseph Newgarden, Will Power, Linus Lundqvist, Theo Pourchaire, Toby Sowery, Scott McLaughlin, Pato O'Ward, Marcus Ericsson, Pietro Fittipaldi, and Santino Ferrucci rounded out the top 20, followed by Nolan Siegel, Kiffin Simpson, Felix Rosenquist. Yes, my pick. Imagine that. Felix Rosenquist, 23rd. Rookie Hunter McElroy making his debut this weekend in a disappointing fashion. Stingray Robb, Augustine Canapino, and Christian Rasmussen round out the rest of the 27 drivers. Moving over to points, I know this looks kind of wonky from what you are used to, but you have Alex Palou is your points leader with 411 points, followed by Will Power, Scott Dixon, Colton Herta, Pato O'Ward, Scott McLaughlin, Kyle Kirkwood, Joseph Newgarden, Alexander Rossi, and Santino Ferrucci round out your top 10. Then it is Christian Lundgaard, Marcus Ericsson, Felix Rosenquist, Marcus Armstrong, Renus VK, Roman Grosjean, Graham Rahal, Lunas Lundquist, Pietro Fittipaldi, and Kiffin Simpson round out your top 20. Then it is Stingray Robb, Christian Rasmussen, Augustine Canapino, Theo Pourchaire, Nolan Siegel, David Malukas, and Jack Harvey. Those are the 27 full-time drivers and what the points look like as of today. Now, the one thing, fellas, that I dread the most to look at, because I know exactly what this looks like, and I predicted this a few weeks ago, but for everyone else to take a look at, yes, here are the up-to-date race picks, and like I said, I predicted this a few weeks ago, but you see there with the comeback that Michael has put together here, winning the last 4 out of 5 weeks. He is now in sole possession of second place there with 4 wins. He is nipping at Josh's heels there. He has 6, and obviously bringing up the rear, as I predicted a few weeks ago would happen myself with 3. So can't wait to get rid of this slide here as quickly as possible, just like that. We are going to step away. We're going to take, I can't say a commercial break because we don't have that, but I do have a couple sponsors that I want to give shout outs to. So we will do that here. First and foremost, huge thank you to Always Ready 1776 for all of your patriotic apparel and headwear needs. Remember, it is Always Ready 1776, and you can find them on the World Wide Web. I don't even know if people even say that anymore. At alwaysready1776.com, and you can check out the promo code there up on your screen, push to pass, to get 10% off of your order. Also, huge thank you to Gettum Associates for any home design and remodeling needs. Remember, it's Gettum Associates, and you can find them on the internet as well at gettum.com. And again, as the aforementioned read there, if you use the promo code PUSH2PASS, you will receive $250 off any design service. A huge thank you both to Always Ready 1776 and Gettum Associates for being proud sponsors of the Push to Pass podcast. So getting back to the business at hand here, I guess we do have a short interview with the race winner there on Sunday. So let me pull up that audio clip there, and we'll listen to Colton Herta talk about his win on Sunday.
Wire-to-wire dominance over the weekend for Colton Herta. Fastest in practice, both times. Fastest in qualifying to sit on pole, and you lead 80 laps today. What is this victory a testament to?
I'm just so happy. You know, it's been 41 starts since our last win, so it feels amazing to finally get it. An Andretti one, too, is spectacular. And just fortunate. Love to have this race on the schedule. We love coming up here. Love the Canadian friends that show up for Detroit and some of those races, and then we love coming showing the love up here. So it's a lot of fun. It's a great city. It's a great race. I hope it happens for the rest of my career.
There have been some really good results during that stretch, but not the greatest one, that win. You mentioned it, 41 starts. What have you learned about yourself in that time?
Stop sucking and win more races. That's really the end of it. We've had great cars. We've had podiums, and for one reason or another, we just haven't won more races. But when you do it, it just feels so good. So career win number 8 for me. I feel happy about that.
A lot of big smiles over here. Win number 8 for the 26 team. Wire to wire.
Interesting little caveat there from Colton Herta, the race winner there on Sunday, when he was asked about, what have you learned the most from your struggles to win in those 41 races, and I thought he gave the perfect answer: just stop sucking. I thought that was the perfect answer. Indeed, but looking at the agenda that we laid out today, I think we've hit everything. Obviously, we do not have a race to preview here and for the next couple weeks. So we're pretty much open here for the last 10 minutes or so. I know Michael wanted to expand on some things, and I think Josh wanted to talk about a couple things as well. So, I'll open up the floor, gentlemen, because like we said, we got, 10 or so minutes because we don't have a race next weekend to preview. So the floor is yours.
Go ahead, Mike. You seem like you're ready to go.
So I have a question for both of you. How much would you pay for an app that you could stream every IndyCar session? You could have onboard cameras of every driver and listen to the driver audio.
How much would I pay? Well, I mean, if you think about it, wouldn't that price be the equivalent to what you pay for Peacock? Because, you think about it, you're getting the same coverage in that app that you just listed as to what you're getting on Peacock, correct?
No, you don't get every onboard from every driver that you could sit and watch whatever driver you want. You also don't get every piece of audio from the driver either.
Are we talking per month or per race?
Per month.
I guess for that, damn it. Sorry, somebody just hit a home run. I guess for that, I would say, for that much of an act of access, I'd pay $25 a month.
Derek, what do you think?
All right, if you're gonna give me all that and it's gonna be per month, I would say that's probably I would say $15 to $25. I would say that's a legit price. I would go there, yeah.
Okay. So what if I told you that F1 TV has an app that you can spend $10.99 a month. You get every Formula 1, Formula 2, Formula 3 practice, qualifying, and race. During the F1 race, you get the TV broadcast, as well as you can look through on a track map to see where every driver is currently running GPS-wise. And you can hear all the driver audio from every lap of the car that you are on board with for $10.99 a month. This is another aspect where IndyCar does have a good feature with their app. You can listen to the audio, but you don't get that. You don't get to watch the race as well. You do get the IndyCar radio, which I know, Derek, you really like, but these are small things that fans really look for when they're, especially right now with the streaming and everything. I think Peacock has done a great job to try over the past few years to help build the IndyCar fan base, but I'm not sure why so many people are opposed to streaming. And I don't understand that. And I don't know if either one of you can elaborate any more on the downfalls of streaming, what your thoughts are as far as that goes.
Well, in my opinion, there's no downfalls of streaming. I think it goes back to the fact that a big chunk of IndyCar fans are older, and they don't want to have to deal with logging onto their smart TV, logging into here, logging into there, and they're just so accustomed to, hey, I just turn on the TV and my race is there. I don't have to go through any. I don't have to jump through any hoops to say. So I think that's one of the big problems of why so many IndyCar fans are against streaming and streaming services such as Peacock. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is.
I don't think you're wrong, Josh. I don't think you're wrong at all. I think it's now I see what you're talking about. I think it's the older generation that follow IndyCar that don't like change. I think it's what it is. You think like as Josh just alluded to there, NASCAR. Do you have to jump? How many hoops do you have to jump through to watch NASCAR on Saturday nights or Sunday afternoons after your Sunday brunch or whatever you do? You don't. It's right there on network TV. You don't have to sign in on Peacock or or on USA, I guess, for that matter. But you don't have to sign on any streaming app to get NASCAR. It's right there on. It's very accessible, and it's right there on national TV. So I think that does play a big part in it. But I would love to see Fox. I hope they don't steal your idea. I hope they at least give you some credit for it. But I would love to see Fox turn it into something. Because I would gladly pay $10 a month to where I can get all of that instead of having to use my iPad to listen to or my computer to listen to the race on the radio call, use my iPad to, if I want to see who's charging, how much charge they have in each battery, and then use my phone for something else. If it's all right there, I think that'd be very accessible. And I think it's very easy for people. And maybe they would, they would turn their opinion a little bit, because not only is it going to be on network TV with Fox, but then you can go a little deeper if you're if you're NASCAR, if you're an IndyCar nerd like us, and follow it on that app as well.
Yeah, you almost had it right. I'm a NASCAR nerd as well. I just follow anything with four wheels. But I agree with you, Josh. I think it's the older generation. But I do believe that streaming has to play a pivotal role in helping grow not only the IndyCar series, but the NASCAR series and motorsports in general. NASCAR has taken a big leap next year with 12 races strictly on a streaming platform. So that'll be, or it's 6 on a streaming platform, as well as the 6 for TNT will be on network TV, as well as HBO Max, I think, or whatever we're calling it. I think it's just Max now, but it was HBO Max. So I think streaming definitely that's going to get your younger fans more involved, because that's just the way we're going. If we continue to always think, and NASCAR kind of had this as well, if we continue to kind of only focus on our older fans, unfortunately, they will either stop watching or they will go on with their lives and pass away. So we have to bring up a younger generation, and streaming has to play a big part in that. And yes, I agree. I think Fox really needs to look into that, because the way they have a online presence is not good right now.
I also want to add one thing, and I was just thinking about this, and this actually pertains to me a little bit. Another thing that people may have issue with streaming is I pay for Hulu, I pay for Netflix, I pay off for, a lot of people are cutting the cords, but after a little while it starts to add up, because I can't watch this because it's not on that, so I have to subscribe to that. So it could also be the fact that people life as we know it, it's just so much more expensive nowadays. I'm looking to get rid of cable, but I'm trying to find the best service that will provide me all the sports channels, all the sports I want. Here in Indy, Bally Sports is no longer on Xfinity, which is a shame for us, because Bally Sports Xfinity got rid of Bally Sports, so we can't watch the Pacers games. That's another aspect of it. If you're gonna go, I gotta watch the game. I have a game here. I have to pay here for here, or the NFL is coming up, and to watch every single game this coming year, if you're wanting to watch every single game, I think they said it was somewhere around, for the entire season, like $800 or $900 for every single streaming service you would have to be able to get every single game, whether it be Apple TV, Hulu, or wherever it is. So it could also be the fact that people just don't want to pay the extra money to watch it. They would rather, if I have it on cable, then it should show up on cable. Now, if you want to stream some of those other services, such as in-car cameras, let me listen to what profanity that the drivers are saying, or that. That's fantastic, but don't take my races off TV that I'm already paying for. That could be also another thing.
No, I get it, and I think that's where F1 TV is good, because they're not taking it off your TV. You can still watch on TV as well as listen to that kind of stuff. So I think they're doing a great job with it. I think IndyCar's app is progressing that way, because you can listen to audio and things like that. But I think we can get a little bit more in depth if we try to do that.
Yeah, true.
I think there was one more thing that I was going to add to this, and I think I may have completely forgot and lost my train of thought. But I do notice if NASCAR kind of has that same idea or concept, and I don't know how many people are familiar with this, but if I think I've signed in with one of my social media accounts on the NASCAR site, and I can get all of the MRN. The only thing I can't get, I don't think, is the TV broadcast. But NASCAR has it set up to where I can get the MRN broadcast, I can get race officials, I can get anybody's in-car audio, and I can get anybody's in-car camera, and I can get multiple cameras or views from each car. So NASCAR does have a concept on that, and I don't believe I pay a dime for that. But yeah, I would love to see that. But hopefully this doesn't drive away some of the maybe the older generation that just refuse to go to a streaming platform, and they're hell bent on staying with cable or direct TV or satellite, whatever they have. And then one more thing. If Fox does decide to take your concept, I think your bargaining chip would be having our show put on there once a week, and then they can use your concept. I think that's a great bargaining chip right there.
I totally agree. I think that'd be great. Three of us on Fox TV. They put us on FS1 probably, but that's fine. And then one other thing I wanted to talk about. How do you think McLaren feels right now with their decision for Nolan Siegel over Theo Pourchaire?
Oh wow! You want to talk about
we didn't even talk about that
last 7 days? I think for Harold McLaren. If you remember, and I don't know how many viewers follow David Land, but the article that he shared that Pourchaire talked about, was it Autosport or Auto something? The way he bashed Errol McLaren, the way he was handled, and then basically within 24 hours. And Josh, I don't know if you've seen David Land's videos, but I would highly suggest going and watching them. They're only like 15 minutes long, but the way he was treated by Arrow, and then literally. You knew that somebody from higher up, if it was Zach Brown, Gavin Ward, somebody, or Tony Kanaan for that matter, said something to him, because 24 hours later, he has to walk back those same comments that he gave in that interview. And I think David brings up a great point, that I think going forward with interviews, they're going to have to be done by video, because if they're done by video, then it's kind of hard to misinterpret or twist what the interviewee said. In writing, you can kind of twist that and take it however you want. But if you do it in video, I think it's kind of harder to do that. He had to walk that back because obviously Arrow, who was their first call this weekend on Friday when Alexander Rossi crashes during practice and breaks their thumb. Teddy Porkchops himself. So, yeah, interesting. I hope Arrow's great with their decision because right now, I think, and again, this is just me, and the Nolan Siegel fans may bash me for this, but I see a lot more upside right now with Pourchaire right now than I do with Siegel.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not too familiar with this. You guys are more of the diehards and follow that. I always hope that every young driver is able to prosper, but I do think Pourchaire is having one heck of a season so far and showing that any confidence that was put in him was good to him. So I mean I apologize. I'm not as in depth with this situation as you guys. I just know that Dale Coyne will be coming out with new drivers by the time we come to next race.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. When you brought up the points is really what really got me looking at that. Taylor Pourchaire actually is higher in points than Nolan Siegel. Comes in, has to fly all the way from Nice to get to Toronto. Gets there for qualifying, runs qualifying, morning warm-ups, and then finishes better than both Aero cars. Now, Pato did crash, and so did Nolan, but he wasn't too far behind Nolan before that accident, and he actually had an issue with the crash with Linus Lundqvist. So, yeah, I don't know. I kind of think maybe McLaren made the wrong choice there, but only time will tell, and hopefully Theo can get a full-time ride for next year.
Yeah, definitely remains to be seen if Aero, if they're going to have to, they made their bed. Now are they going to have to lie in it? Definitely remains to be seen for sure. Well, fellas, I think that covers and wraps up about everything that we wanted to speak about. I know, Josh, is there anything that you wanted to touch on real quick before we get on out of here?
Not really. I mean, I think it's a good break coming up for the Indy series. Step away, let the Olympics be the focus. Even though I think with training camp starting for NFL, that's gonna take away from some of the shine. But the Olympics are coming up, and now the drivers have a couple weeks where maybe they can go on a vacation, decompress, figure some stuff out, and maybe come back for that home stretch and figure something out. And somebody can possibly give Palou a run for his money, and we can have some awesome shows talking about different drivers and what their accolades are.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to the break here for a couple weeks. But Josh alluded to something I don't think he thought of, but he talks about with football maybe taking away some of the shine from the Olympics. He's going to have his football show firing back up. So a shameless plug for that. So if you enjoy seeing myself and Josh here on Tuesdays and Michael, well, on Wednesdays or Thursdays, I think we need to iron that out yet. But Josh's football podcast is going to be firing back up as well. So go check that out. But yes, a well-deserved break for everybody that covers the NTT IndyCar series. Definitely can't wait to get back on the track in a few weeks' time. Let these drivers reset a little bit and make that push, because they just got 5 races left to go to see who is going to be the 2024 NTT IndyCar Series champion. So with that does it. As I see the checkered flag is now being dropped. Huge thank you to Josh and Michael, as always, for taking time out of your busy day to join me here on a week in, week out basis. A huge thank you to everybody over on X or Twitter and YouTube that has tuned us in this evening as well, or we're listening to the replay of this show. A huge thank you to everyone there. Like we said, we'll be on hiatus here for a couple weeks, but when we get back, we will be previewing the Bommarito Automotive Group 500 from the Worldwide Technology Raceway. So for myself, Josh, Michael, and everyone else that makes up the Push to Pass podcast, this does it for this episode. But again, like I said, we'll be back in a few weeks' time to discuss what's going to take place at Worldwide Technology Raceway. So until then, so long, everybody.
Carter just pitted. Work on the gap. Work on the gap. Both head ready cars that we're leading have pitted now. Keep working at it. We're going to pit here. Use overtake on the way